Hello and welcome. It's been a difficult past couple of weeks. I know I've promised a Dark Souls video, and the last one I put out wasn't necessarily like a Seath overview, so one of those is in the works. I've been dealing with a lot in my personal life recently, and it's kind of impeded my ability to create. And I think it's interesting because I've always seen myself as someone who's sort of able to do it on my own. And as the media narrative about my demographic becomes worse, I start to realize that I don't necessarily have the proper social support channels for, I guess, not letting the big picture abstract stuff get to me. And I've been working to, try to maintain my material dialectics, but it's hard not to allow feelings to become like the things that drive us. And we're really witnessing the problem of reactivity in real time with regard to how this present administration insists on being the worst administration of all time, and extending beyond, it was, I don't know, not even funny on paper when it was Project 2025, and they're trying to do it anyway. And I'm sitting here seeing all this weird behavior coming from people who are in positions to represent others. How do they represent my interests in any way, in any area? And it's not even about popular vote, because if you were to ask the people who I'm in the life of, the people who I work with, the people who I go to school with, I bring value with me where I go, but then I have this massive wet blanket just thrown over me as everything about who I am gets reduced to my gender. And even at that, they don't recognize it as my gender, but instead insist on referring to it as an ideology, not realizing that all forms of idealism are equally wrong. If they're gonna poke fun at transgender people, how are we not poking fun at their Bible where they talk about selling their daughters into slavery? Oh, weird, it's almost like Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, hey. Sorry, don't want to say that too loud, otherwise Trump might send one of his assassins to come get me. But the thing is, why are we even living in fear like that? Why are we having an organization just crack down on immigrants, and meanwhile everyone goes, oh, we shouldn't endorse political violence, but we're at complacency levels in genocide. The political violence happens every day, constantly. And our system is built on racist principles through slavery and exploitation of labor. So in what world can you say, oh, I don't like political violence and it's all coming from the other side? And not look in the mirror and realize even if you got everything you wanted, you're still gonna generate people who are going to do stuff like that, because the normalization of violence permeates the culture of patriarchy, because for whatever reason, there's this fascination people have with the destructive or lethal force of firearms. And again, I personally, not a fan, but I understand oh cool, it makes the Big Bang go boom. But at the same time, these kids are put into situations where they build these idealist fantasies of the world, and through these constructions, the only way they feel that they can have an impact on it is through radical action, which is, I wish people had support systems in their environment that didn't lead them to sympathize with bad people. It's a hard cultural problem to address, but I don't think that, putting restrictions on firearms is out of the question for making sure that more of this doesn't happen. Even if there's like general good sense of like, hey, we should maybe not pass these out like candy at trade shows. Maybe it would be nice to walk around the streets without everyone carrying a gun, or the potential for everyone carrying a gun, or the potential for one person who really doesn't like trans people to be carrying a gun and decide that they want to do something about it, and I just happen to be the target. It's that level of fear that I feel like systemically should be addressed through the administration just kind of, alienating and ostracizing us. How do you go from, oh, we're not going to let them serve in the military, to now all these people looking for jobs, trans veterans, are now in an environment where the job market is being told constantly how much of a problem trans people are? I saw a straw poll the other day. It said something like, people think on average 21% of Americans are trans. Are you, what? 60% of Americans haven't ever even met one of us, I thought. Or maybe it's 40%, I don't remember the numbers. I don't pay attention to statistics because, to be honest, they're all machinations of the bourgeoisie, and I'm not really gonna capitulate to their arguing about population numbers and impact, when the reality is they have no idea the struggle we go through, and yet at the same time, they've weaponized their speech against the struggle we face. And they make a point to make us feel ostracized because I think somewhere in the dysphoric condition, that's an inherent sort of feeling. And by exacerbating it, they make the world materially worse for trans people, and there's no sense or purpose to it. It's an unfortunate world we live in, but it's okay because, again, I think there's only a certain amount we can control in our lives, and for me, that's work, school, and Dark Souls. I don't control the media. I don't control the administration. I think Friends of the Basket qualifies as an anti-fascist organization, so maybe if you affiliate with me, stand strong, because to be honest, we are someone they should be afraid of, because we're able to represent strength even in times of strife, or turmoil comes about, but I'm still here. And it's hard to play Dark Souls, but honestly, Cease was defeated on the 1st of September on Labor Day. And I joined a union at work and have really been feeling myself making an impact in the things that I can make an impact in for positive change. And all I see is a bunch of people who can't see me beyond my gender. It's truly mind-boggling to deal with, because sometimes I don't know if it's transphobia, sometimes I don't know if it's misogyny, sometimes I don't know if it's patriarchy, but all bigotry kind of looks the same. It all comes with this degree of disrespect and this admonishment for what they believe is some shortcoming on my part within my condition, without an acknowledgement of the limitations of being within that condition. So it's not that complicated, but I feel like everyone, to some extent, has a unique personality that generates their own fingerprint. It isn't necessarily a result of my neurodivergences or the interrelatedness of my trans identity, or the history of being in the military or serving in so many different jobs with a variety of different tasks. None of those things make up who I am right now unless they're all put together the way they were put together that makes me now. And again, that's true of everyone, but oftentimes people don't see what's here and now. They see what they think should be, and then they project that, and it comes off with misgendering. How many years has the idea of trans women been like nationally debated? It's about, I don't know, 9 or 10, I think. I don't remember when it started. It kind of has been like a big conservative talking point, but it really hit its stride with the women's sports era and this idea of what is a woman. Instead of creating all that media and all that buzz and all that noise, they could have just used someone's pronouns. Their entire, like, sort of propaganda machine is the generation of their own hurt feelings because they're realizing we're not a Christian nation. Believe it or not, there were 2 colonies when we were founded. There were the Puritans, and then there was Jamestown. And there are very distinct differences in how those colonies developed and like the differences that occurred in terms of like the populations that grew out of them. But the revisionist history of we are a Christian nation is just abhorrently wrong. I hate to say it, but like, if you make the world worse, when you die, you're not going to any good place. You're leaving the world worse. Your impact in the world makes it worse. If you die and you made the world a better place, then your death will be missed, but those changes that you made while you were here persist. That's why I think there's something about authors being immortal, because their name is read every time their stories are like passed through. And at some point, perhaps those books become lost in a library somewhere, but they still take up space on the shelf. They still exist. And those people from way back when are able to have a massive push all the way through time to the point where we can say things like Descartes was a dumbass just for fun, you know? Or like, Leonardo da Vinci, he wasn't that great. His paintings weren't that good, you know? And you don't necessarily have to believe all these things, but like the idea is like we can sit on the sidelines and critique a world that existed without us, or we can take an opportunity to make the world we exist within a little bit better by working together, uniting, and I think opposing fascism, to be honest. I mean, we don't have to go full communist yet, but I hope you stick around and take part in the part-time revolution. We still haven't even covered Seath yet, so if you're just getting here for the first time, stay tuned, because check's always in the mail, I promise. It's just been hard times, but again, I love making these videos. I love being able to interact with you all, and I hope our world gets better, but it is really difficult to see dogmatic adherence to bigotry. Why do they hate? There's no good answer. So, anyway, thank you for joining me. We'll do Dark Souls, I promise, this weekend, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Love you. Bye.